Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right in. So, welcome to my 3-day live on the importance of being you. My name is Dr. Christy Culpepper-Walker, and I am a licensed psychologist in the DMV area. So, even though I love to talk, and even though I'm really used to talking and listening and having a lot of conversations with people. This is my first live, right? This is my first time going live by myself on Facebook. So I'm really excited and I'm also a little nervous, okay? Now, anyone that knows me knows I love a good conversation. So please feel free to engage with me in the chat. You can drop comments, you can drop questions, and just, if I can't get to it during the live, because sometimes I get a little distracted, I will definitely make sure that I connect with you after the live and answer any of your questions. Okay. All right. So for this series, we're going to talk about the importance of being you, the importance of being your authentic self. All right, the importance of not dimming your light, the importance of not shrinking yourself to fit into boxes created by other people's expectations or to fit into boxes that you think other people have created for you. And that's a really good distinction to make. And we'll talk about the difference between what we're thinking and what's coming from the inside of us and also what's coming from our environment, right, or externally. So this live came about because I'm currently in a speaking course and my speaking coach said, hey, let's talk about some stuff that you guys are passionate about. And so I was thinking, I'm like, of course I'm passionate about mental health. I'm a psychologist, right? And I understand that mental health a lot of times is affected by how we see ourselves and how we present ourselves. And so the more I was thinking about like my own experiences and thinking about the experiences of my patients, I said, you know what? I need to do some work around the importance of showing up in all spaces as your authentic self. All right. And I have my own personal experience with this as well. All right. So, I can think back to plenty of times where I dimmed my light. And I know how that felt to not feel like my voice was needed or feel like my voice was even wanted. All right. And now that I've done a lot of work, a lot of hard work, I'm over to a place where I understand the importance of letting my light shine. Right. One, it's important for me, but two, it's also important for other people coming after me who might not feel like they're comfortable enough yet to show the world who they really are. And so when we think about people in general, right, like people from all walks of life, but especially people of color, we have been, because of our experiences, because of our history, we have kind of been given the message that our voice doesn't always matter. We've been given the message that our life doesn't always matter, right, and our gifts aren't always valued. And so I'm really passionate about helping people in general, but specifically people of color, find a way to live their authentic life, be their authentic selves. So just a little bit of background about me. I was born and raised in Fairfield, Alabama, right outside of Birmingham for people that don't know where that is. I went to Mother Tuskegee and got a bachelor's in psychology. I went on to the University of South Alabama in Mobile and got my master's in applied psychology. And that was my first experience with therapy. And that's when I knew that I wanted to be a therapist for the rest of my life. After I left there, I went on to University of Tennessee and got a doctorate in clinical psychology. And after that, I decided to see what the Florida weather was about. So I went to University of Florida in Gainesville for a pre-doctoral internship and left there and came up here to Maryland, to Baltimore, and I did a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship at Kennedy Krieger Institute and Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. And all that moving around, right, I got to work with a lot of patients of different ethnicities, different ages, different genders, different presenting concerns. And one thing that I found was that no matter who you are, the stress of trying to be somebody else weighs heavy, and it can cause concerns, right? And those concerns might lead to anxiety, they might lead to depression, they are definitely exhausting. And so I've known for a while that working to be who God has called you to be and walking in your God given purpose is something that's important for all of us. Now, this has been a journey, right? I didn't start here. I'm at a place now where I feel like I speak up and I know that my voice is necessary, right? And I say what I want to say and I say it in ways that people can accept it, right? But I'm making sure that I'm speaking my truth. But I haven't always done that. And when I look back, I would say probably the first time I really noticed that I was dimming my light, the first time I can identify that was in high school. I was a high school senior, and we had this big company in Fairfield that gave a scholarship every year to a Fairfield senior for college. And it was a big deal. The scholarship came with money for all 4 years of college, as well as a job every summer. And it was a nice job, right? And, making nice money. And so it was a really big deal. All of the top students applied and interviewed for the scholarship. And the day that they announced the winner, we were in seventh period, the last period of the day. And you know how they do the evening or the afternoon announcements. They came over the intercom. They did all the rest of the announcements. And then the last thing they said was, and the winner is Christy Culpepper, right? And so my friends are congratulating me and they're all excited. And the only thing I could do was sit there and think, why would these folks do that? Why was it necessary to announce this to the whole school? Right? You could have printed out a certificate. You could have wrote it on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and just handed it to me. Because that was a level of attention that I definitely was not comfortable with, right? And all the time my friends are congratulating me. I'm thinking, I don't want to celebrate too much because I don't want it to be seen like I'm bragging, right? How many times have we dimmed our light because we were concerned about how it was going to look to other people? If you've ever had that happen, drop me in the chat. Thank you guys. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, it didn't stop in high school, right? I can remember in college, one of my favorite professors told us, hey, the higher you go up academically and career-wise, the smaller your dating pool gets. And now she wasn't telling us to say, don't try to achieve things. She just wanted us to know that that was a possibility. And so one thing that I was thinking about that is, well, maybe I shouldn't, talk about all the awesome stuff I'm doing in school. Or maybe I shouldn't talk about my plans to go to grad school when I go out on dates. It didn't stop me. I still did that, and thank God it worked out, right? But these are things that kind of create some doubt within us about are we too much? Are we too much of the wrong thing, right? Or are we not enough? Which is another issue. Now, everything I've told you about so far, all of that stuff was inward for me, right? Nobody said this stuff out loud. Nobody said, Christy, you shouldn't be excited about, the scholarship because that's bragging, right? Nobody said, Christy, you shouldn't tell potential mates, what your goals are and what aspirations you have. Those were all things that came from the inside of me. Right. And even as recent as work, grad school and work, there were times where I might have had a good idea and I kept it to myself, right? Because I didn't want to take over or I didn't want to be seen as too much. How many of us do that right now? We're sitting in meetings at work and we know we got something to add. We know we have something to say and we don't say it. We just kind of sit there quietly. We might even sit in the back of the room if we're in person, right? And say, I'm just trying to ride my time out. Hopefully this hour meeting end up being 45 minutes and then we're done. But we have stuff to give. And one thing that we'll talk about tomorrow with finding your magic, nobody can say and do what you say and do the way you say and do it. That's your magic. That's what makes you you. And somebody needs that. Okay. So again, all that stuff kind of comes from inside. Now, there are some messages that we're given from the world, whether it's intentional or not, but there are some messages that we're given that make us want to dim our light. So who's ever been hit with a microaggression? Right? So those are those comments that sound like compliments, but they're not really compliments. And they usually have some type of prejudice in there, or some type of prejudice is driving it. Right? So I remember in grad school, and a lot of my stories are going to be about school because I spent a lot of time in school. But in grad school, we had to do these reports. And so this was my very first time doing this report. It was really important. And it was supposed to be reviewed by a peer before it was given to my supervisor. So I sent it via email. The peer reviewed it. And they could have just answered in an email and said, hey, it's ready to go, or it looks good, or whatever. This peer took the time to find me and say, oh my God, this is so well written. And I know you guys might say like, okay, Christy, like that could have been a compliment. It could have been, but it wasn't. And if you had seen the look on the peer's face, you would have known what I knew. It was a look of shock, like I wasn't supposed to be able to write well. And so, of course, I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, whatever, and kind of walked off. But I was thinking, so if you don't think I'm supposed to write well, you probably don't think I'm supposed to be here. Now, luckily, I have an awesome set of friends and family members and loved ones who will help me snap myself back to reality real quick. But that's how imposter syndrome starts. Right? Thinking that we have been put in rooms and put in spaces that we are not ready for. If God puts you in a room, if he puts you in a space, whether you think you're qualified or not, God has said that you're qualified. And his word stands no matter what. So whenever you guys are kind of feeling that little, oh, am I supposed to be here? Maybe I'm not quite cut out for this. Walk in the fact that God put you where he wanted you to be. Okay. So we kind of talked about my own kind of internal and external stuff. And that's one reason why I'm passionate about this. But I'm also passionate about this because of my patients. So, I told you before, I've been doing therapy for a long time now, about 15, 16 years now. And now I work mostly with teens and young adults, right? So probably around 12 to about 24, 25 years old. And guys, I'm seeing this with my patients a lot. They come in and they're stressed. They have anxiety. They're depressed. They don't think that they're enough. They don't think that anybody wants to hear what they have to say. I can't tell you how many patients come in and say, well, I know I'm annoying. I know my friends only put up with me. I know they don't really like me. They just tolerate me. And it hurts my heart to see it, because if that's how they're feeling at such a young age, it's going to be a hard, long road for them to get to a place where they're living a free life and they know that they're enough. And a lot of times they're more than enough, right? And part of the reason why our kids are in this place is because they don't see us living the life that we could be living. They don't see us being authentic. And so if we aren't showing up as our authentic selves, we're not making space for these other people in our lives that are coming after us. We're not letting them know that it's okay for you to have something to say. Your voice is valuable. And so I have two recent situations that I can tell you guys about. And so again, this is a journey, right? I haven't fully arrived. I live a lot freer than I used to live, but it still creeps up sometimes. And it happened actually twice this past week. So one of them, a lot of you that know me, you and you're a part of my Facebook family, you saw my 15 things about me post, right? So that was also an assignment from my speaking coach. And so when she assigned it, I was thinking to myself, child, I know me, and the people that need to know me, right? And a lot of us in my speaking course, had some concerns about it. And one of the things that was brought up was, well, you might have people that know you. That doesn't mean that they know these particular facts about you. And they are all facts that, we found interesting, or we found to be amazing. And so why not share that with other people? So I wrote my list, right? And I posted it. And one of the comments just really touched my heart. All of the comments were amazing, and thank you guys for the love. But one comment kind of took me aback. And so shout out to DJ KC, DJ Killer Cam. We went to high school together, and we were in the marching band together. And a couple of my points in my 15 things were about how much I love music. And, I play a number of instruments, and I just like all sorts of music. And so DJ KC responded and said, do you know that the first time I ever heard For Elise by Beethoven was you playing it? And I had to think back, and I was like, I did used to play that in the band room, like before practice would start. I would just get on the piano and play stuff. And For Elise is one of my favorite songs. And he said that made an impact on me. He said that memory is etched in stone for me. And he doesn't even know how much that blessed my soul. That was confirmation that writing those 15 things was important, right? If I had not done that, I wouldn't have known that he had that memory, right? And I wouldn't have known that I had impacted him in that way. Another situation, a young lady, African American female at work, reached out to me and said, hey, can we have a meeting? Now, she's in my clinic, but I don't interact with her directly. But again, like I told you guys, I love good conversation. So I said, of course. We set up a meeting and, had a really good conversation. We talked about her path to becoming a clinical psychologist. And towards the end of the meeting, I said, did your supervisor tell you to contact me? Because I'm really close with her supervisor. And I'm thinking she just wanted her to talk to me about her next steps. And she said, nope. She said she doesn't even know that I am meeting with you. She said, I've heard your comments in our meetings, and you just felt very genuine to me, and I wanted to connect with you. And anybody that knows me knows I love connection, right? I love to be able to connect with good folks. And so that just made me smile. And that also confirmed for me, again, speaking up and showing who you are, being your authentic self, those things matter. And they don't just matter to you, they matter to people coming after you. And so when I get uncomfortable about doing this work, like when I get nervous, like I was tonight about coming on here, I think about my niece. I think about my nephew. I think about all my god kids, right? And all the other kids that I know, and all of the, young women and young men who are trying to come along and make a name for themselves in psychology. And I understand that it's very important for me to do what I do. And I don't take it lightly. So, guys, that's about all I have for you tonight. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about finding your voice and finding your magic. And I'm actually going to give you guys some tips on how to do that. And on Friday, we're going to talk about filling your space. And so I'm going to have a few surprises for you. And I also give homework. You can ask any of my patients. I like to give homework. So for anybody on here right now, just think about how you show up tomorrow. Think about, are you showing up as your authentic self? Don't judge yourself. Be gentle. But just start being aware. Are you being your true authentic self in these spaces? Because you can. And you really should. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And I will see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good night.